Hello and welcome to Zenith Workouts. I'm Rebecca Libby. This class is designed to be begun when you are at least 6 weeks post-baby or even beyond. You want to definitely make sure that you have the go-ahead from your practitioner, your healthcare practitioner, to safely exercise. And even when you get that green light, if you find that any of the exercises are too difficult, if you feel pulling in the belly or discomfort or heaviness in your pelvis, in your pelvic floor in particular, then you might need to scale it back a little bit. Either just sit out that particular exercise, check your form maybe, or go to one of our earlier videos. We've got a lovely, really gentle week 0 to 8 one, and it would be ideal if you're strong in those basics before progressing to this video. So for this video, it is ideal if you have a mini ball. So I have a proper spongy one. I can blow it up and let air out of it. But if you just have a toy ball, just something to use. If you absolutely don't have a ball, maybe even grabbing like a pillow and halving it, like folding it and putting it, because it's really going to be between the knees to get that inner thigh, pelvic floor, deep belly, and out breath connection that we'll be using it for. We also will use it underneath the pelvis when we're on our back, but you don't absolutely need it for that part. So if you don't have a ball, I mean, it's worth getting a ball anyway. But if you don't have one right now, maybe get a cushion, fold it in half, or anything else you can put between the knees just to give you a little bit of awareness and engagement of the inner thighs, the adductor muscles of the hip. So this is designed to be quite a short workout too, because we don't always have time with new baby. So let's get going. We will start. We'll start on our knees today, and you're going to put the ball between your knees right away. And if you're not comfortable to have your toes flexed like I do, sort of tucked under, that's just nice for balance. You could always just leave them flat on the mat. I'm going to take the ball and put it between my knees, and then just bring my knees a little closer together, so I'm already actively pressing in on the ball a little bit with my knees and feeling a little bit of awakening in my inner thighs. In this position, you're going to draw up very tall, right? Really, really try to feel that you have a nice length from your knees up through the front of your hips, up through the front of your spine, and out of the crown of your head. You're going to take a nice breath in. And when you breathe out, I want you to imagine pressing in on the ball a little bit more with the inner thighs, lifting the pelvic floor, and drawing in with the deep belly a little bit. And we're just going to do 3 breaths like that today. Breathing in to relax and expand, and breathing out to press in on the ball lightly. Make sure you connect with that pelvic floor. That's so important, and the deep belly, no matter what type of birth experience you had. And even if you're way beyond the 6 or 8 week mark, this video can be beneficial for moms of all ages. Nice breath in to expand. On your out breath, squeezing in lightly on the ball, lifting the pelvic floor and drawing in that deep belly. And then I'm going to get you to float your arms up in front of you and just place the palms together. When you breathe in this time, it's that same breath, trying to go deep into the belly, deep into the pelvic floor, deep into the hips. And when you breathe in, you're going to open the arms out to the sides, out to your shoulder height, and then you're even going to let them go behind you. This is just a chest opener. So really open wide across the chest. There's so much you're doing now that is bringing you into a stooped position. On your exhale, inward squeeze on the ball, lift the pelvic floor, bring the arms back to the front. So it's breath in to expand and get wide and open across that chest. And we're just going to do a few of these where I want you to picture the spine staying nice and still. In particular, as the arms go behind you, try not to let the head poke forward or the rib cage press forward. You want to feel that you are already a little bit active in the abdominals, and really connect with that inner thigh pelvic floor lift on the out breath. One more nice one like this. And awesome. Relax your arms at your sides and turn the palms backward. This is a kneeling 100. And I don't use the 100 a lot in my classes. It's a Pilates exercise, one of the more well-known ones, because you count to 100 as you breathe. But the idea is to pulse the arms at your sides, nice and strong. And you're going to be doing this, and you're going to naturally get a reflexive activity in the deep belly to hold you nice and stable so you're not moving the spine around. So once again, that thought of being tall, nice breath in, we'll pulse for 5, and out breath to pulse for 5. When you breathe out, you're going to squeeze in on the ball, and you're going to do that pelvic floor lift, and you're going to continue to be a little bit active in the deep belly. All right, so nice breath in, and out. In. In. Go at your own pace here. I'm going to start talking. And when you're breathing in, think of lengthening the spine, think of opening through the rib cage. And as you breathe out, make sure that you initiate with that inner thigh motion on the ball, that pelvic floor lift, that deep belly drawing in. You're keeping the chest nice and still, the head and neck nice and still. I'm sure we've done 100 now. I'm horrible at counting. So let's just do one more breath of in and out. And relax. Good. Let's move down onto our backs from there. Good. And if you have some separation of the abdominals, and even if you don't, I think it's still nice to come down to the mat or down to your bed, down onto the floor, as if you are still pregnant, still expecting. Come down on your side, and then roll onto your back. It's really nice not to overstress the abdominals. Even if you don't have a diastasis, a separation of the abs, it's just a really nice precaution. There's no need to jump into big abdominal work so early. It can be more harm than good, and there's so much else to work on. So coming down onto your back with the ball now between the knees again, with the knees bent, the feet on the mat, and have your neutral pelvis. So in our first video, we identified that, but you're looking to have your hip pointers and your pubic bone in a nice horizontal line. So you're not flat with the low back and lifted in the tailbone. Here my pubic bone is higher than my hip bones. I don't know if you can see that. And or the other way would be too much arch here, the tailbone is really down, the pubic bone's down, and the hip pointers are up towards the ceiling. So you'd like to find a place and just rock here. This feels really nice. We're going to do this in a minute. And just try to settle into a point where you feel like all those 3 points are in a nice horizontal plane. And if you're not perfectly neutral, that's no worries. Not everybody lives there. You're just trying to be as close to that as possible. Let's place the arms, actually place one arm at your side and the other arm on your belly. When you breathe in, I want you to try to feel a little bit of air, a little bit of expansion, a little bit of filling in the deep belly. And as you breathe out, try to feel that low belly lightly draw in, imagining that you have like a little corset or your own natural girdle that's tightening ever so slightly. It's not a dramatic movement. Breathe in to expand, and breathe out to gently draw back. And the best way to do this is really to initiate it with the pelvic floor. So if you breathe in, you're relaxed in your pelvic floor, and when you breathe out, you're lifting that pelvic floor. You're gently thinking of stopping your pee, or the idea of having a blueberry at the entrance of the vagina, and you're lifting, 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 lifting. You're not smashing the berry. Breathe in to let it go. Gotta love the visualizations, but it's just so important to reconnect to that area, especially if you've had a vaginal birth. But even if you haven't, if you've been through that whole pregnancy, you've had some load in that area, some stress. Good. Let's do this again, and this time we're going to hold it. So press in on the ball, lift the pelvic floor, draw in with the deep belly. There's no movement in my spine. I've just activated. I want you to let it go when you feel like you're pulling it. Tired, you don't feel like you have that connection anymore. Let it go. We're going to do 2 more like that. So nice out breath. Lift pelvic floor, gentle squeezing on the ball. Deep belly draws in, and just hold it. Continue to breathe. It's nice if you either focus on the breath or talk to somebody or talk out loud. Hopefully you're not talking to anybody. You're having some true you time. Last one. Exhale. Pelvic floor lift, deep belly draws in, a little squeezing on the ball. These are not the most satisfying exercises, but they're probably the most important to lay that foundation, and then you can build on them and you can go as difficult as you want and push yourself to a level of fitness that you'd like when you're ready. So from here, I'm going to take the ball out from between my knees just for a minute, because to bring your legs up, both up into the air, you probably don't have the strength right now to lift them both at once. Another thing that we're maybe not aware of, but if you do that, if you go to lift both legs, you'll probably feel that the belly bulges and the spine moves a little bit. So hold the belly strong. Bring one leg up. You can even hold it and bring the second leg up. And you're not going to be in what we call tabletop, because you'd be working too hard in the abdominals right there. I'd like you to really pull the thighs in towards the chest and put the ball back between the knees. This one is actually quite hard. It's a good abdominal workout, and it's a nice safe one if you do have a little bit of separation, because you're not adding any lift of the chest, you're not twisting, but you're getting that work. It's really a nice one. So hands are at your sides. You can have the feet together. You've got a little squeeze in on the ball, and the knees are in towards the chest. The low back is totally flat towards the mat here. Take a breath in. And as you breathe out, I want you to initiate always with that same pelvic floor lift, deep belly drawing in. And now I'm going to reach my left hand down towards my left hip or the end of my mat. And at the same time, I'm going to move my feet to that same side. So I've just really contracted a lot in my left side body. And then I'm going to come back to the center. And then I'm going to reach my right hand. And my feet are going to go to the right and back to the center. And if you'd like a self-check, you can put your hand on your belly, because as you do your side bend, the belly should stay flat. Right? If you're trying to lift as you glide to the side, or if the knees aren't in enough, you might feel the belly sort of pooch or tent or lift towards the ceiling, and that's not what you're looking for. Exhale. To the side, back to the center, exhale to the side, and always initiating that movement from your deep center. So before I move, I've thought of the pelvic floor, I've drawn in with the deep belly. I'm not holding my breath, it's just that I've started with that intentional thought of working from a place of strength. And last time, to the right. Come back to the center. Take your ball, lower down, and we're going to move on to our belly. If you can put the ball, once again, between the knees. It's nice. You can keep the toes tucked, or you can straighten them out. And you're going to lay the head down on the mat, on the back of the hands. Just fold it under the forehead. The ball is just there. If you hate the ball there, you don't have to use it. Or if you don't have a ball. But it's just there again to get that inner thigh, pelvic floor, deep belly connection. And I'd like you to take a nice breath in. And when you breathe out, I want you to imagine you're lifting your belly away from your leggings or your pajamas or whatever you're doing this workout in. And then breathe in and release. Exhale, do that again. Draw the deep belly in. And hold that as you bend your right knee. And straighten it back out. Exhale, do it again. Draw in with the deep belly, bend the left knee. So we're going to just repeat at your own pace. On your exhale, you draw in the belly away from your leggings, and you replace the leg. Breathe in. And what you're looking for is that the pelvis doesn't move. So you shouldn't feel the head moving against the back of the hands. You shouldn't feel the bony pelvis shifting on the mat. This is a little bit of bum work, a little bit of glutes, a little bit of hamstrings. Not intense, but just regaining the pattern of movement. You know, you certainly didn't do this exercise late in pregnancy. There was a belly in the way. Let's do one more with the right. One more with the left. And then let's bend both knees, but one at a time. So right bends and left bends. Press the heels together. You can forget about the little ball for a moment. Take a nice breath in, and on your out breath, draw in with the low belly and press the heels together. And hold that for 6, for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Release, breath in. And again, draw in with the low belly, lift the pelvic floor, press the heels together for 6, for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Release. And last one, draw in with the low belly, lift the pelvic floor, nothing moves. You could totally be cheating here. No one would know. But you feel that in the hips, eh? As you press the heels together. And you'll hopefully feel it in your deep center as you hold the low belly engaged and you hold the pelvic floor lift. And then release. You can lower the legs one at a time. We're going to come onto our side. And for this one, you don't need your ball. You can just place it off to your side. Unless you want to use it as a pillow, which you can. If your bottom arm isn't comfortable to be your pillow, then grab a little cushion or grab your little ball. Here I want you to lay on your side. This is our clamshell. And you're thinking about having a little bit of space between your waist and mat. And obviously we might not have a little space between waist and mat, but all that means is just not to be in this cozy, like, I'm watching a movie on the couch position, which you don't have any time for anymore anyway. But you're actively just thinking about lifting your waist up so that the pelvis is stacked, the knees are the same length, and you stay in a nice straight spine instead of being in this scoopy curve position. You can have your top hand on your top hip just to monitor for movement, or if you need it for balance on the mat, it can be there. I'm going to show you a few different modifications for this, so you can go at your own pace. But nice breath in to prepare. Out breath, feet stay together, and you raise the top knee, and your goal is don't roll back in the pelvis, and release. Exhale to do it again. And repeat. So this is a basic one. This is one that is included in our first video, our 0 to 8 weeks postpartum. It's a natural pelvic floor exercise. So that as you raise the knee, the pelvic floor is already active. You can think of adding your own sort of conscious lift on top of that. But strengthening the outer hip is so important after all the changes the pelvis has gone through in pregnancy and delivery. So here's broken clam. This is sort of your second level of difficulty. When you get to your top, you add a little lift. Just the feet come apart, the knee lifts a tiny bit more, replace and lower. And if you did some of our prenatal classes, then you're familiar with this one because it's one of my favorites. Open the knee, lift, lower, and down. Open, lift, lower, down. So you can go right into that next time you do this video if you know that this is the level that you're at. Otherwise, I'm just going to do one more so we're not exhausted in the hip. Open, lift, lower, down, and just take a break with that one. The other option that, again, you can go into right off the bat when you do this video again is to straighten out both legs in front of you. I'm going to get you to try it now, even if you're tired in that top hip. Just do a few reps. Have that space between waist and mat. Both of my feet are out long in front of me. So my knees are straight. I'm still long in my spine though. I'm still a little bit drawn in the belly. Try to be active here. Breathe in before you lift the leg. Pull back lightly with the low belly, lift the pelvic floor, and raise that top leg and lower down. So much longer lever, much harder than the clam usually. And if you don't feel comfortable with this, then stick with the clam till you gain the strength. This should feel, like you're working in the outer hip, but there shouldn't be any discomfort in the pelvis or pain in the low back or movement in the spine. I'm just going to do 2 more to give you opportunity to do that. But don't worry if it's too hard, it's sort of a push at this level. Beautiful. All right, let's do the other side on this one. So bottom arm is your pillow. Starting with the clamshell, I'm going to do a few regular clams and then go into broken clam, but if you're ready for the broken clam right off the bat, then go ahead with that. Lift the waist off the mat. Take your breath in to prepare. Let go of tension in your shoulders and your neck, and on your exhale, raise the knee and release. And release. So if you had your pelvis, your back up against a wall behind you, as you raise the knee, you wouldn't roll back. That's a challenge here. And to keep that space, I'm going to go into a few broken clams. So open, lift the knee and foot, replace, and close. Clam opens, lift, lower, close. Clam opens, lift, lower, close. So I'm going to do 2 more. If the reps are too much, take a break. You'll build the endurance. And relax. I should have said I am not 6 to 14 weeks postpartum, as I'm recommending in this video. It's been 3 years since I had my youngest. But again, the exercises are good for every stage. If you need your hand on the mat, it's there. Or on your top hip. We're going to try a few with the legs straight if it's too much. Continue with the clam or just take a break, go into your core breath. Breath in to prepare. Exhale. Pelvic floor lift, deep belly draws in. Raise the leg and lower. And lower. Your legs, your feet, your heels, they should be even. If the top heel is shorter and you don't have a leg length difference, then you're rolled back in the pelvis. Right? The heels should connect, lift, and connect. And that's a good way to self-check that the pelvis is stacked. Let's do 2 more. I know that's a lot of good work in the hip. And release. But the hips are your gateway to your pelvic floor. Happy hips, often happy pelvic floor. We're going to come back down onto our back now with your ball. And once again, I'm going to come down on my side, roll onto my back, and get that ball. Actually, I'm going to put the ball under my pelvis. We'll come to that one last. But lift the pelvis and put the ball underneath. And this one is one where if you don't have the ball, don't worry. You're just going to work to be on the mat in your neutral pelvis with no shift and no bulging of the abdominals, right? If you have the ball, though, it's really nice to know. It'll tell you if you're staying nice and centered, and it just feels good sometimes to have that ball behind your sacrum. You can have your hands at your sides, or you can bend the elbows. A little more challenging to have less base of support on the mat. Take a nice breath in. And on your out breath, just feel that pelvic floor lift. The deep belly draws in, no movement right now. Just reconnect with that breath. On your second one, you're going to start to let the right knee go out to the side. So you have pelvic floor lift, deep belly draws in, and right knee opens out to the side. Nothing shifts. The hips stay level. Return to the center. And switch sides. Start with being sure, 100% confident. You've got the pelvic floor on, the deep belly drawn in, and the left knee goes out to the side. And back to the center. And repeat. I'm doing this at a really slow pace, but I'm showing you a big movement, right? If this is your first time doing the video, you're probably not doing a huge movement. I think it was after my second that I I'd get an inch or two into the movement and I'd know I'd lost that connection. So your goal is not how far can you get the knee out to the side. I'm just showing you a big movement so you can see what I'm doing. It's more, are you confident that you have the pelvic floor lift and the deep belly drawn in and the hips level? If the pelvis is tipped to the side, you're wobbling on the ball, don't go further, you're not going to get what you need out of the exercise. The essence is strength in the center supporting the outer movement. So we're going to do one more on the right. And one more with the left. Beautiful. And if you're fatigued, that might be where you stop today. Otherwise, we're going to change the movement. Breath is the same. Out breath, pelvic floor lift, deep belly, and right knee comes up to tabletop and lowers back down. I'm going to do a repeater. I'm going to do right only for 5 times, but I'm going to put my hands on my belly because I want to know through that whole movement, has my abdominal wall stayed flat? Right? And you're laughing because you're like, how flat is your abdominal wall 6 weeks after pregnancy? But that's not what I mean. I mean that when your legs are on the mat and you're relaxed, when you go to lift, when you contract and you lift, the abdominals should not bulge towards the ceiling. Okay? And that often happens if we haven't reestablished that connection between the control in the abdominals and the leg movement. I think that was 5. We're going to switch to the other side. Exhale and lift. Right? So if you just start to get the heel off the mat and you're not certain that you've got that control in the abdominals, then you put it back down and you try it again. And are you wobbling on the ball at all? Are you able to stay steady? How's your breath? Has it gotten shallow? Are you holding your breath? Remember to breathe. Breathe in to relax. Breathe out to lift the pelvic floor, to draw in with the low belly. I think we'll do one more on the side. You may have done 5, but I was chatting. Good, beautiful. Right? So don't worry again about getting that leg all the way up to tabletop. You work for the control. I'm going to lift up off the ball. We've got one more exercise to do. I'm going to put that ball between the knees. And this is a little bridge, right? We've done this in our first, I don't know if we did that in our first video actually. So here we are though. Take a nice breath in. On your out breath, I want you to press in on the ball, feel the pelvic floor lift. And here, from your neutral spine, you're going to move into a little bit of imprint. So imprint is when we draw the tummy back towards the spine and we let the spine gently flatten down towards the mat. So I'm pulling my hips and my ribs in the front a little closer together, not bulging of the abdominals, pulling back. Breath in to go back to neutral. And exhale to do that again. So this one is a nice mobility exercise for our low back and pelvis, but it's also a really nice strengthening one for the abdominals, but then we're going to lift the bum and it's going to target the glutes a little bit. I'm squeezing in on the ball to add that inner thigh connection. If it's too much to think about, you can just have the ball there. But to get the most out of it, your out breath, you have the inner thigh connection, the pelvic floor lift, the deep belly drawing in. It's a lot to think about. And now we're going to build on it. We're going to squeeze the bum, and you're going to try to peel up. You're going to lift the tailbone and the low back, and you're going to stop where you're comfortable, because maybe you're here, and that's fine. Or you can continue to climb up. Eventually, yes, you want your knees and your hips and your shoulders to be in this nice straight line. Take a breath wherever you've stopped and peel it down though. And really try to get gravity to help you enjoy this movement. One bone of the back at a time, back down to the mat. Make sure you get right back to neutral and that you've relaxed the pelvic floor, you've relaxed the deep belly. That's equally as important as the contraction. So exhale, squeeze in on the ball, lift the pelvic floor, drop the deep belly back. and peel it up. Breath in at the top for a pause, and then peel it down on your next exhale. When you're on the mat, release, not enough to drop the ball, but get easy here so that as you breathe out, you can do it all again. And you can go at your own pace. I teach at a very deliberate pace, especially at this level, because I feel like you can't be too gentle on yourself. You can't be too slow to return to activity. But if you're feeling good, you could peel it up and peel it down. But listen to your body, because it's not a race to get back in shape, quote unquote, right? You can always at any stage, scale it all back and enjoy the basics. We're gonna hold this next one up because hopefully you're feeling it a little bit in the glutes, nice and active in your belly. And wherever you may be, so I'm not gonna come all the way to the top. You can if you want, but I'm gonna demo probably where I was at week 6, is just with the bum hovering. Take a breath in here and you're gonna squeeze in on the ball. And as you squeeze in on the ball, you're gonna do a quick lift of the pelvic floor. So you've got breath in, breath out, quick, 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 quick. This is the one that when you sneeze, you're going to work on that reflex, that quick activity in the pelvic floor, and you're not going to pee. Last one. Take a nice breath in, lift the hips higher if you can, and then peel it down, one bone at the back at a time. Beautiful. Good. And then you can take your ball away, and I'm going to let you lay here if you have that opportunity. If your little one is still asleep, enjoy the rest of being flat on your back. Try to feel heavy into the mat. Maybe have a little nap. So there you go. Don't worry too, if you don't do this whole video, if you learn the exercises, you can put them into your day at any point, right? It's a lot to try to fit in I guess almost 25 minutes of workout. But yeah, even just a little bit, grabbing it here and there will be beneficial. So congratulations, enjoy your rest, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.